Drink it in, man.
Deep left side carry on. Picks on the block. At the 5. At the 2. At the 1 to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Drink it in, man.
Get up, Stafford throws. It is end zone. Caught! Oh, baby, what a catch! Kenny Galladay, you're a freak! What a catch! Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Cornbread!
I love the Lions! Say it with me! I love the Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid, what is going on? We are back, and it is the night. We are recording the night before the 2019 NFL Draft. Grifka, man, we're coming back. We've talked a lot of draft. We've done some fun new segments. We've had some great interviews. But basically, while we were on air last week, or right before we went live, the schedule, the 2019 schedule came out of when the Lions are playing, who they're playing. We already knew the opponents, but we didn't know when. We didn't know what times. I think we got to spend some time right off the top, talk about the schedule, man. Where are we going to get W's?
So let's do this.
Yeah, man, real quick before we jump into the schedule, what we'll do is we'll kind of just go down the schedule weeks, 1, get all the way to week 17, give our general thoughts, spend a little time with that off the top. In the middle of the episode, you don't want to go anywhere because we're going to have our what if, where we're going to put Grifka to the test. What if this happens at the draft? What if that happens? How's he going to feel? What's he going to break? His coffee table, his rocking chair, whatever it's going to be. We're going to talk all about that. And then at the end, again, you got to stay tuned this whole episode. At the end, you guys lit up the Detroit Koolaid Cast listener line. I'll give that number off right off the top. It's 989-272-3484. And this is really fun. This is a line that we developed. You can call in anytime, anywhere. Doesn't cost you a penny. You can call up. You can rant and rave as long as the listener line will take you. I think there may be a time limit of under 5 minutes, somewhere probably around there. But we want you to rant. We want you to cut promos. We want you to talk about the picks when it's in season. We want you to call up about the games. We want you to ask us questions, and we definitely want you to tell us feedback on the show, how much you love the podcast. That always helps us out a ton. So stay tuned. At the end, I mashed up all those together. We're gonna have a lot of fun with that. So. With all that being said, Grifka, how about we take a real quick pause, get our sponsor in here, and we'll come back and talk about the schedule. Get after it. All right, Grifka, we're back. Man, it's week 1 of the 2019 season. At least here it is on my schedule. Heading to Arizona. Got the Cardinals. There's going to be a lot of hoopla depending on what they do tomorrow at the draft. And it's an East Coast team going west. Grifka, tell me why it's not going to be an automatic loss like you say on every other
first thing I got to say
episode
about
of the
this
show.
game is do we play Arizona every year? I know we've had the discussion. It seems like we play like the Cowboys every year, but I swear we play Arizona every year. I mean, we always play the Cardinals. It's like death taxes and the Lions playing the Cardinals. It's like the 3 guarantees of every year. So
Don Muhlbach.
Yeah, exactly.
Don Muhlbach.
But this is that Arizona team. Even if they take Kyler Murray first, which you heard the rumblings, it might not happen now. That's just a terrible team. So, I mean, Detroit went there last year, and the Detroit at that point in the season didn't have a lot of offensive firepower and was still able to come away with a W. So, this one, I mean, I know we're going to break this down later at some point this year before the season starts, but gosh, I got this one in the win column already.
Hey, Grifka, if I asked you about Kyler Murray, would you say he's great or maybe something else?
Yeah, he's not that great.
I think you're right. I mean, the NFL schedule kind of goes in circles. Like we played Dallas. It seems like the last 4 out of 5, 4 out of 6 years. We got Arizona on the schedule every year. It's just kind of crazy how all that works out. They're not a team that scares me. We went down and beat them up last year on a terrible sodded, whatever it was, football field that was just a mess. even if they add a quarterback, they'll have some offensive skill players, but they don't have enough to deal with us. But again, if they do take the quarterback, I don't like going there week one, with a guy like Murray, who's kind of hard to game plan for. You don't know really what Kingsbury could be. I got some issues with that ball game, but it's definitely one they should win. It'd be great to go on the road and get a W before they come back. Grifka, week 2, we will be in the building. Last year we kind of did it last minute, but we told everybody where we were going to be parked at. We had the Detroit Koolaid sign out. We had the music going. All types of tailgating going on. So we'll have to do that up big this year, Grifka, now that we got this show rolling and got a bunch of people listening. Tell them where we're at. Hang out, come swing by, eat some food, talk Lions, talk about the show. Can't wait for week 2 against the Chargers. 1:00 game. That's when football should be played, man. 1:00 on Sunday.
Yeah, this is going to be this is just going to be hyped. It's like the Chargers are going to be a good team. I mean, we believe that the Lions are going to be a good team, and we got that feeling they're going to be good. So this is just great. And I'm the energy that we talked about it was that Monday night game was kind of rainy. A lot of people were still working that Monday, so it just seemed like at the tailgate the energy just wasn't there for that home opener. Even though if it was it was that Monday night game, but oh my gosh, this is going to just be a great game. I'm so looking forward to this. Usually, like you said, it's late summer, early in the fall. It's usually great weather. People are just, out there early. We'll be down there probably we're usually down there by 6:30 in the morning, cooking some breakfast, watching a few people walk by. A few of the locals that live on the streets usually come by, ask us for some food. Sometimes we're nice enough to hand it out. But
sometimes they rap.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I sure hope little Tim's back there. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? But I'm still looking forward to this game. When it came out and it was just like it's the Chargers, I'm like, yes, great game.
If little Tim comes by, are you going to let him get in? Or are you going to kick him out?
I don't know, man. You guys were having your rap battle and stuff like that, man. We're going to have to go down to the shelter and,
Oh man, I'm gonna have to work on some bars before I go, just in case he shows up. I'll have to give it to him again. But yeah, man, we always have a ton of fun down at the tailgate. So Grifka, normally you say things aren't that great, but it sounds like this game you said is going to be great. And when something's great with you, what do you normally get? What's the word you often use to describe something that's great?
I'm stoked.
Absolutely, man. So I'm stoked for that game as well, and it should be a great football game. So week 2, we're looking forward to that. Let's keep this thing moving, man. Week 3, we go out to Philly, kind of that flip-flop home road. Going to Philly early in the season, they should football team kind of definitely on the defensive side of the ball. They got some dogs up front to deal with. They've kind of had some quarterback issues with injuries, but what do you think about us going to Philly? Always kind of a tough place to play, and I'm expecting they'll have a pretty good squad this year.
Tough game. I mean, the tough road game. What I really would love to hear, besides the knowledgeable fans of Philadelphia, because they're so knowledgeable, I would just love to go in there and have the Lions make the Philly fans boo their team. I would love that because they do it for anything. The first incomplete pass of the year, it seems like the crowd's booing, but I would love to go in there and just kick the crap out of them, and people are booing them. Come early the third quarter because the Lions are just beating the daylights out of them. That's what I would really like.
I got a chance. I always want to do road trips, Grifka, but I can never get any of my buddies to break away from whatever they got going, work, family, all the boring stuff of life. I'm like, let's go tailgate in Green Bay on the tundra. Let's go take a roadie to Tampa Bay for a game. Let's go to Chicago and whoop it up. But I did have the pleasure to go with a real good buddy of mine, Choppy Chop. He listens sometimes, and me and him roadied out to Philly. It was that game probably a handful of years ago now, where went to overtime, crazy comeback again by the Lions. We ended up winning in OT. Just absolute tremendous game. The people were pretty good. We only got in a few half shouting matches, which isn't that bad for those guys, but super fun, and we just had a blast out there. So I'm with you, man. Hopefully we can go there and just put a whooping to them. But that's going to be a tough football game, I think, as well. And they don't get much more difficult, man, than coming back home Kansas City Chiefs coming to the D indoors, unless they have some type of big injury. They're going to be slinging it all over the football field. I think it's going to take some points to win that game, Griffith.
Detroit definitely cannot go all conservative. The short pass, unless they're planning on, just milking the clock. And to do that, they're going to need the run game to happen against Kansas City to keep that offense off the field. But gosh, two tough home games to start off the season. I mean, I'm glad they don't play in Kansas City, because Kansas City is just a really tough place to play. Only playing there every once in a great while makes it even more difficult. But getting the Chiefs in your own barn, that's definitely a plus for the Lions there. But this is another game. I mean, it's going to be that high flying offense at Kansas City, and we'll see if the Kansas City defensive backfield got rebuilt over the offseason to where they can shut down teams, because the defensive backfield for Kansas City did lose a few parts. I know they picked up a couple players, but still, Detroit's going to have to throw up some points in this one. But gosh, it's just another tough home game.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, when I saw the schedule come out, I'm like, man, not only is the road, at Arizona a little shaky for me, but then going to Philly and then having, the Chiefs and Chargers coming to your building, like, don't love it. Then we got the bye week. Real quick, Grifka, what's the greatest memory ever of me and you sitting at a Lions-Chiefs game when we beat them up like 42-7? What was the highlight
Rory
of that
make that awesome
game?
tackle on the sideline and Jamal Charles knocking him out of the game.
Rory just tearing Jamal Charles' ACL. You talked about it for like 3 more quarters after it happened. It's brought up every year.
Wasn't that the greatest though? At one point we're like, what happened to Jamal Charles? Because he just kind of got up. I mean, he laid there for a second, but they didn't bring over the stretcher or anything like that. Nobody was helping him walk. I mean, he just kind of like limped away, but it didn't even look that bad. And then remember, Rory was from the sideline. He wasn't allowed on the sideline the rest of the game. He was up with the crowd the rest of the game. We spotted him. We're like, hey, they kicked Rory off the sideline.
He got some that hit he put on Jamal Charles, but I know you always loved that one. So let's keep the schedule preview going. Work through a couple of these pretty quick. Man, week 6 at Green Bay. At least you're playing there in good weather, but it's on ESPN. It's at 8:15. That's gonna be a Monday Night Football game. The lights will be bright. Aaron Rodgers will be looking to smirk and throw it sidearm and do his stupid where he dances around the pocket trying to just mess with us as Lions fans, and he just thinks he can beat us any day of the week. Like, would love to go into Green Bay and put it on him once again.
Yeah, Derek, I usually hate early bye weeks. Especially, week 5, you're barely into your season. I know sometimes you can step back and see where you're at, but I love the bye week before the game in Green Bay. A little extra time to rest up for it, a little more game planning for that special game, that Monday night game. Once again, their primetime game is a tough road game, but still, I like where the bye week leads into this, and anything to shut down Aaron Rodgers from him doing his discount double check belt stuff, and I'd like to go in there and smack him and make him leave the game like they did in week 17 last year.
Absolutely, man. So a real tough stretch for the Lions, and man, it doesn't get any easier in week 7. We come back home and get the Minnesota Vikings coming to the D, 1 p.m. That's going to be a fist fight right there that hopefully we're ready for, man. Us as Lions fans, we are due for a healthy season. We need to have all of our playmakers pretty much making it through healthy. This defense needs to keep its key players going. And man, every year, like, a lot of our key guys are going down. And I know the NFL is all about injuries, but we are due, man. No doubt about it. What do you think about the Vikings?
I like this game because you know how I feel about Kirk Cousins, because he's not that great. Minnesota paid him big bucks to miss the playoffs last year. Congratulations. But, they'll have tough defense, a couple tough wide receivers, and hopefully the Lions find somebody else opposite Slay to shut down Diggs and Adam Thielen, who just got a big contract from Minnesota. But, it's 3 tough home games to start the season. Like, that's no cakewalk at home, really, for Detroit.
Grifka, who might you want to see opposite of Darius Slay?
I heard there's a couple guys out there on the trade block, but I would really like to see Rock Ya-Sin over there.
Thank you. I didn't know if you were going to get back to it or not. All right, so week 8, we got another home game, so we get 2 back-to-back home games. The Giants coming to town, 1 p.m. One of the greatest receivers of all time is no longer there, Grifka, so that should help our chances. Eli Manning is just absolute garbage now. I can't believe that team thinks they're just going to run him out there another NFL season. I like our chances in this football
this
game.
is going to be – I know the Giants will get their calls and everything like that because they're the Giants and, they're a special team. And, Eli, oh, gosh, see what they can do to make him look good. But I think this is a dog team this year, even with your boy Saquon. I mean, just, Saquon, they're just going to put 12 guys, 11 guys in the box against him and make those dog wide receivers try to beat him. But, yeah, that's I like this game. First easy home game of the year.
Yep. So after that, week 9, we go out to Oakland, 4:05 start. That's an East Coast team, pretty much going west, Grifka, but it's a 4:00 start, which I know you'll have some thoughts on that. The Raiders, man, the Raiders are terrible now. Everyone's hating on Gruden. Nobody knows what Mayock's going to do. I don't know they'll be good this year, but I kind of like to tear down the Raiders. I'm curious to see what they do with their draft picks, but if not this year, in the future, I think this is going to be a good football team.
Yeah, probably by time. I think what Oakland's really, trying to do is build this team up for when it finally gets to Las Vegas, trying to stockpile a bunch of draft picks right now. So, in a couple of years when they're hitting there, this team's coming into its own. Like I said, it is a 4:00 start. East Coast team going west. It does make it tough. It's never easy to play in the black hole no matter what. But I don't know if the crowd is going to be as raucous as it usually is, simply because this team, they know the team's leaving. So, like I said, I just think Gruden's building for the future right now. So this might be when the Lions go out West Coast and steal.
Yeah, it's one they got to have, no doubt about it. Week 10. Heading to Chicago, interdivision game, black and blue division, 1:00 in November the 10th. This is one I circled for bad weather, early November in Chicago. Probably going to be crazy windy. Who knows? Probably be snow and everything or freezing temps. Not a big fan with the way our offense have been playing to go out. But like I said, if we are building that run game, if Carrion's ready to go and we shore up this O-line, you're going to have to play some nasty football to win that one. And like I said, it's one of the few weather games I had circled on the schedule here.
Yeah, this Bears team is definitely ascending. So this is one where, oh gosh, this is just a tough game. A tough game. And we thought last year, I know when we broke down the game originally, we were like, yeah, they can go in there and steal this one. Chicago's not that great. But Chicago put the hammer down on them. So this is just a tough game. I think that defense in Chicago is going to be stout again. I know I said this before. I think Chicago's probably got the best offensive line in the division. So this is just going to be a really, really tough game for the Lions.
Man, Griffith, I love the schedule review because we're working our way through the games, so I'm getting to use the bell a lot. So good work today by you. We've got our boy Chuck's team, the Dallas Cowboys, coming to Detroit. I got my season tickets. I called up Chuck when I saw that they were going to be playing Dallas. I said, you want to go to this football game. So ended up giving my tickets to him for this one. He'll get to see his favorite team, probably his boyhood team in our city, in our stadium. And I cannot wait, Grifka, until the Detroit Lions layeth the smacketh down all over the Dallas Cowboys. Rudy, what I mean?
Yeah, this is going to be what I really like about watching games with Chuck about the Cowboys. If he goes to another team's home, he knows, he shuts his mouth. He's not one of those guys yapping all the time. The guys you always want to punch in the face. Like I almost beat up that Green Bay Packer fan. Remember when we went to the game a while ago when he just went shut up about the greatness of Greg Jennings. So, but yeah, so I know Chuck's going to enjoy this game, but he's going to be leaving crying because Detroit's going to be ready for this game, do a little payback. So.
Exactly. We always match up well against them. It's indoors. I like our chances. And like you said, I have been to a Cowboys-Lions game with Chuck. He plays the old 50-50 card. Oh, I'm just here. But the minute his team gets up some points, that humbleness might change quickly, but I don't think he'll have many chances to yak in our stadium. So hopefully Lions get that done to save us some headaches for a few weeks. Week 12 at the Redskins. Grifka, here's my thing with the Redskins. Like, Alex Smith, they say, may never play again. I mean, what are they? They have like a okay defense and then a running back and what? Like, I think this is a W. I mean, Washington's a hard place to play when they're rolling, but I don't think they're going to have a good year.
Yeah, I know I'm reading a lot. They're kind of targeting Haskins out of Ohio State as their guy right now. So I'm seeing a lot of that lately. But still, right now they're just kind of caught in that mediocrity pool. I mean, they're not terrible, but they're not that great. They're just kind of stuck there. They bring in a few guys here and there, but it's never really enough to put them over the top because they just, I don't want to say they can't put it all together, but it's just one of those things where they're just kind of stuck. They're just they always seem to hover around, 8-8, 7-9, something like that. They're never picking at the top of the draft and they're never picking at the bottom of the first round. So they just always kind of hover there. So, yeah, I would have to say this would be a W also, unless something miraculous happens there. And, but it just doesn't seem like even the signings this offseason for the Redskins have, really, moved the needle for me. So I think they're going to have to probably go take a quarterback in this draft and hopefully rebuild with him.
Well, I like going to Washington and then coming home, Thanksgiving game. Grifka, I will be there. I've extended the invite for Turkey Day, mashed potatoes on the grill, outside, getting this thing done. I haven't been to Turkey Day in quite a few years. I did a whole bunch of other stuff, family stuff. I'm done with that. I'm going back to the game to enjoy myself. I don't know why you haven't already locked this up. We got to make this happen. The Bears are coming to town. It's going to be a must win. The parade's going to be downtown. It's going to be jumping. It's going to be crazy. Talk to me about this game and tell me why you're going.
I've been really thinking about this and asking a couple of my buddies. I'm like, yeah, my buddy's trying to get me to go to the Thanksgiving Day game. And they're like, go. That's all they say. They like, go.
Because they're well-thinking people, unlike you.
They're like,
they
go.
have brains.
So I've been debating. I'm like, man, he wants to do turkey and stuff. And I'm like, we're gonna have to put plates together beforehand. I'm like, how are we gonna warm that stuff up? So yeah, we'll have to talk about this because right now I'm probably at about 98% going with you, unless something drastic happens. I'm really thinking I'm going to lock myself into this game with you.
Okay, well, I'm about 98% not going here if you keep up this complaining about the plates and the preparing. We don't prepare before. We bring a turkey, we put it on the grill, we freaking heat up some food, and we're rolling like greatest day ever, man. What are you talking about? Me and the Big Hughes on one Turkey Day back in the heyday, we showed up so early, there was no parking attendants. We started parking people for money and making our turkey. I brought a full grill on the back of my S10.
Wait.
Like it was the greatest day of all time.
Wait, you had like a turkey still on the bone and everything? Like a turkey?
Yeah, like a legit turkey in a pot that we had somewhat ready, but you just pop it on the grill and cook it.
I thought you
delicious.
meant you brought like a raw one. I'm like, dude, I ain't eating that, man. I don't care how long you put it on that grill, man. That thing, hey, I'm sitting on some raw turkey. Oh, I do a little bit on the grill. Turkey's a dirty animal, man. You got to cook those things forever so you don't get worms and salmonella.
Oh boy,
Mark for that fake turkey roll that you used to get in school as a kid. Remember that when you were in school and be like the Thanksgiving meal was always like that fake turkey roll. It's all compressed meat and it was like, no, it's turkey. Yeah, okay, we'll take your word for that.
Oh gosh, Mark for edit here to edit this section of Grifka complaining and talking about food for too long. All right, here we go. Week 14 at the Vikings again. In this football game, the Vikings to me are a good team. Kirk Cousins,
nothing.
Like
he's not that great.
Yeah, I couldn't even get to it. I think he's pretty good, but he didn't play very good this last year, so it pretty much comes down to him. We cannot get our quarterback killed that game. That would be a good place to start. And I think Minnesota is a tough place to play, even though I'd love to go there sometime and just whoop it up in their new building with all their fans. Got to have this one, Grifka, no doubt about it. Talk to me, and then we're heading to home to play Tampa Bay.
It seems like out of all the teams in the division, it always seems like the Lions always match up against the Vikings pretty well. I don't know what it is. It just seems like they match up them, with them really well. For all those years that the Lions struggled in Green Bay, we still went up to Minnesota and won. Not every year, but still we played them tough and we won. And even last year's game up in Minnesota, Stafford was getting killed, but they were still in that game, until like the fourth quarter where, Stafford was like, here, you take the ball. I don't want it. And it kind of, it went to, Minnesota pulled away at the end, but that's a game. You're right. It's a tough place, but the Lions usually match up really, really well with Minnesota. So that'll be a good game.
So, Grifka, you're telling me that we match up well. Have you watched their defensive line against our O-line? Because I think in 2 years they've given about 25 sacks in two games. That's not matching up well.
No. I mean, what I'm saying is you're right. That's happened. I remember watching games like that before where they were doing that, where they had John Randall and they had Joey Browner, linebackers. I mean, yeah, I remember all that stuff. But still, it's not like Minnesota's offense was out there just shoving up points against the defense either. So, I mean, those games were close, man. Like I said, last year's game didn't go sour until like midway through the fourth. So they were still in the game at that point, and that's what I mean. They match up well. I mean, yeah. The offensive line may be getting pushed around a little bit, but it's not like Minnesota's out there running up and down the field on Detroit either. So, and part of that is Kirk Cousins. You know why? Because he sucks. He just gets love because he went to Michigan State. And everybody's like, oh gosh, Kirk Cousins, great. Oh, such a nice guy. Yeah, I'm glad he's a nice guy, but he's a crappy quarterback. Okay.
Okay, well, just because the game's close doesn't mean that we match up well.
First, generally means you match up well.
Secondly,
if it's time and time again, it means you match up well. For all the years that Green Bay just slaughtered us, in Green Bay, no, we didn't match up well. Okay, so no, Detroit generally matches up well with Minnesota.
Okay, well, ask Matt Stafford how the matchup has went and see how he feels about it. But also, I remember Dalvin Cook running quite a bit on us for long touchdowns in those games or long yardage. So they did run up on us, and I think one of those games wasn't close. But anyway, that's gonna be a tough one to get. Got to have it late in the year. Coming back home, Tampa Bay. This is a team with Bruce Arians. They're gonna have some weapons. Their defense. We'll see what it looks like after the draft. What do you think about this one?
Tampa Bay sucks. Enough said.
I think they're going to be good.
Bruce Arians, he's a hell of a coach. He really is. But you're right. I mean, they got a couple weapons here and there, but that team sucks. I mean, so put that one in the W column.
All right. Well, I mean, it's one you got to have at home, but you're not going to know really what to expect. And I'm a Jameis Winston fan, a Mike Evans fan. See, I hope he does on that day. Week 16. What is this, Grifka? TBD. No time at Denver.
Is this possibly one of the flex games?
I don't get it. They don't
have
a date.
Is that kind of what they're thinking?
I don't know. They don't flex it, 8 months ahead of time. It's the week before, 2 weeks before they flex games. Like the schedule guys just got tired and they're like, oh man, we're just worn out. Just put TBD all over that Denver Detroit game. We'll figure it out.
Maybe they're waiting to see if Denver's really found a quarterback yet, or they're just going to drag John Elway back out there and hope he can do well again.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess at Denver. That's at Denver. So there's my second weather game that I don't like because it's outdoors in Denver again. So the week before is the 15th, so that's going to be kind of right before Christmas. Yeah, that's going to suck. That's going to be 10 feet of snow, no doubt, and the mile high. Yeah, it's going to be rough. But Denver's not that great. So let's finish up week 17. We hope this is kind of getting annoying. Every end of year, we think, okay, we've got Green Bay in our house. Only one time was it really on the line, and we choked. So, Grifka, put it on paper now. Where we sit now, will everything be on the line? Will we be at home with the division on the line with Aaron Rodgers coming in?
What are you talking about on the line? We're going to have that division locked up 3 weeks even before this game. We'll be resting guys for the playoffs.
Oh man, optimistic Grifka.
You're going to be
where's this guy been?
Savage out there quarterback that game, and come on, right there. That's true Blue Lions Kool-Aid right there.
I can guarantee. There you go. We need this guy back. Tell this Grifka to come back some other weeks. But one thing I can guarantee, Grifka, week 17 against Green Bay, things on the line, you will see a trick play in this game because this is when we break it out, man. This is where we break out the tricks. Week 17, man. It's
and I sure hope they bring a couple
it,
tricks on the defensive line and just smash Aaron Rodgers again. And he just kind of like, looks like he did last week. Like, I don't want to play this game no more. Yeah, I have a concussion. Take me into the locker room. By halftime, he's showered and out, and his locker room, locker's all cleared out already. And it's like, I guess that concussion was pretty bad. They cleaned him out already, so.
Yeah, hopefully we put him in the fetal position. But, man, if there's nothing on the line, the Lions break out these incredible, plays. I mean, how about we pull those and show some cojones and pull those in the middle
You never said that when
Schwartz
went for it against Pittsburgh, and they lost in Pittsburgh. And, you never said, why did you do that? You should have just kicked the field
goal. I love it when it works, Grifka. I mean, so we rumbled through the schedule, man. To me, it's a tough schedule. Like, I remember when I first looked at it, I thought, how it lays out, the bye week being so early, lots of tough teams early. They're going to have to really scrap and get some. But usually if you have tough games early, it's better because you're at least a little healthier. Hopefully they can be healthy on the back end of that schedule. And we're not here to totally predict it, but I think, scraping out, those 9, 10 plus wins that you're going to need, it will be kind of a challenge. But if they nail this draft and they stay pretty healthy, I mean, that's the low bar. They got to win 9 or 10 games this year.
I don't think 7-9 is not going to be, we're better. It's just 7-9. You're still sitting in that same boat as 6-10. I mean, that's the way I would kind of look at it. So I don't want 7-9 and a bunch of close losses. Like, it was one score. No, man, we've seen that before. I don't think you're really improving any.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's going to be a big season. So it was great to get the schedule out. Got some friends and family using some of my tickets. Be at the Charger game. It's on tape. It's on record now that you will be there and not be a pansy at the Turkey Day. And I don't want to hear any of this about food prep. It's going to be the greatest day of all time. So that's going to be awesome. So Grifka, at the number 8 pick, they can't trade out. They got some people on the board they like. With the number 8 selection, the Detroit Lions select quarterback Dwayne Haskins. What's your reaction going to be if they take a QB or a guy like Haskins at number 8?
It'd be like, first of all, I would think, why? And then my next thought would be, obviously Stafford's days in Detroit are numbered. Because if you're taking your quarterback in the first round at that point, this is probably going to be Stafford's last year in Detroit. And then they're going to, do either the trade or the cut next year and just kind of eat the salary, go with a cheap quarterback. You're just going to let Haskins, learn this year at this point. That's what that pick would mean to me. At this point, I think, I don't want to say you're mailing in the season because I think there'll probably be better guys out there that would help your team this year. But I think that leads me to believe is you don't think your team's good enough to make a run this year, so you're taking your quarterback for the future. And I don't think you're going to sit on 2 quarterbacks, for 2-3 years. I think Stafford would be gone after this year then.
So we've talked about it before. Me and you are Stafford guys. We want him to turn it around. We want him to get better. Would you be excited at all?
Over this pick? No.
What do you think the probability is that they could shock the world, step to the podium, and make a pick like that?
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't even know if they have a quarterback this high on their radar. I mean, yeah, if it's one of those things like one of these high end guys slip until the 3rd round, it's okay, he's the best guy on the board. We got to go take him now. But I don't think they have a quarterback penciled in that high.
Okay, well, we're playing the what if game because it sounds like you haven't thought about what if, and it's not probable, but there's a chance it could happen. And I think you need to both think about it and just sort of, would that be a good thing because we kind of know what Stafford is? It would really shock everybody. I mean, it would be a total pull the wool over. Like they just flip the script because, everything points to no, but that's why we're playing this game. So, okay, we got your take on that. Grifka, the Detroit Lions at number 8 select Michael Grifka's favorite player from Iowa, TJ Hawkinson. And then Goodell would say, because tight ends are some of the most valuable football players in the game. What do you think about that? Have you really wrapped your head around if that happens?
I would hate that pick. Tight ends, once again, luxury pick, ding the bell. But there's other holes that need to be filled. Yeah, I know we need tight end, blah, blah, blah. But
Grifka, we've got you on
I hate tight ends in the first round. I do. I do. It's out there. So if they took that pick,
okay,
I'd be as mad as when they took Eric Ebron, when they took Nick Fairley, when they took Laken Tomlinson. It'd just be like, nope, just another wasted pick.
So, Grifka, this year is the first year that we have you on tape with all this garbage you say. So there's no, if he turns out to be a Pro Bowler, that in 3 years you can go back and, man, I knew that year the Lions, kind of needed a tight end. It wasn't really a bad value. If this guy plays good and we take him, are you going to stick with this to your grave? Because, you don't leave yourself any room to be, understanding that he could be a good football player.
One of those things okay, I was wrong. So what? I still don't like the pick. I mean, yeah, I still don't like the pick. I mean, I don't care. I don't care if this guy turns out to be the next Tony Gonzalez, I don't care. I hate tight ends in the first round. I really do. Especially at number 8. I mean, give me a break.
Oh, man. I laugh so hard because everybody that's listening, wait till the end of the show when a couple of our callers come in. One references Tony Gonzalez and points his finger at Grifka, and then another one talks about luxury picks or how a tight end would just infuriate the man that I'm talking to right now. So that made me laugh. Not only do they know you better than yourself, Grifka, but just making these blanket statements I'll never understand. It's all about the player, the value, how they end up doing. It's not about, I'll never take a tight end at this spot. Well, okay, if he's a Hall of Famer,
okay.
I will.
End of discussion. So I was gonna rebut, but forget it. Let's move on.
Okay. Well, your take on that. My quick take is that I don't want this to happen. I've kind of talked myself out of another few players that I think will be there, but he's still getting mocked a lot. So, what if, everybody needs to sort of get it in their head. What if they step up and they take TJ Hawkinson? How do you build the rest of the draft so it works? What does this kid have to do to justify that spot? Because that's not only a what if, that's a good probability that he could be the pick. Super safe, does what they want, position of need, all that type of stuff. So everybody out there, what if, man, I would think about that one because the people are going to go crazy. But if you think about it ahead of time and then they end up making the pick, it might not be the shock value or the anger that some will have. Grifko, another one for you. What if the Lions pass on some of the top pass rushers? Let's say Ed Oliver's there. Let's say Burns is there. Let's say something crazy like a Quentin or a Josh Allen fell and they passed on that pass rusher to trade down. A guy you loved is staring you right there. You could take him and they trade down.
Wow.
What if that happens?
I guess I'd want to know how far they're falling and what they're getting in return. I mean, because we've talked about this. I mean, yeah, if you're gonna get another second round pick, and you're only falling down a few spots, 15, 16, 17, and you're able to still get, a decent piece. Gosh, I mean, you're talking Williams and Allen. Gosh, man, those guys are, if something miraculous where those guys actually fell to that spot, I'd be scratching my head, even with the falling down and getting another pick in the second round, or something like that. Because, gosh, yeah, Allen can just get to the quarterback and, God, Williams is really, God, that guy's a stud. So, Ed Oliver, I know he's one of those guys that's okay, let's see what they get. Burns, Sweat, I'd be okay with it unless they took TJ Hawkinson at 14 or something like that. Then I'd feel that was a wasted pick. So, yeah. So, yeah, I would be I guess it depends on what they get in return. But, Williams and Allen are sitting there. Gosh, I don't know how they could give up on one of those guys.
Yeah, I'm with you. Again, the what if game is like things you don't think will happen or haven't put your head around. And if they do, what do you do at that point? So, I would hate it if they passed on a top rusher, a top defensive stud, trade down, maybe get somebody, and then we look back years later and that guy's a absolute freak of nature, and our guy is like either off the roster or middle of the NFL type of guy. We need a blue chip, top end playmaker, no doubt about it. Grifka, I could ask you a million other what ifs. I think what we got to do is get to these listener questions. But before we do that, Grifka, it's the night before the draft. The people want to know, your fans. You actually have fans out there, Grifka. I can't believe it either. They want to know what's like your best case scenario. What do you think will happen, either when they come on the clock at 8 or if they trade down? And what would you absolutely hate come Thursday night in the NFL draft?
Let's start with what I would absolutely hate, besides, the given I'm taking a tight end there. I think if they completely traded out of the first round, no matter how many later round picks they got, that's one of those things. I'm not saying a lot of teams do that. I mean, there's plenty of there's obviously a few teams this year that have traded away first round picks for players. I mean, Dallas being one of them. But if they were to trade down and completely trade out of the first round, even if they kind of kept trading back, we've seen teams do that as well. Okay, they trade back to 17. Okay, they're going to trade back to 24. Okay, now they're going to trade completely out of the first round, and they stockpile a bunch of 4th, 5th, and 6th round picks. No, I would really hate that.
Grifka, let me stop you there. I think that's my dream scenario, of just consistent trade backs. Why in the heck would you hate that?
You start stockpiling all those 4th, 5th round guys, and we know, there's talent everywhere, but it happens, where you get those all pros and pro bowlers in the 4th and 5th round, but it's just the top part of the draft is where the real studs are. So that's. Yeah, I don't care if you got 5, 6th round picks. That don't mean crap to me.
Boy.
I mean, so what? So you got 4 more guys who can play on special teams. So what? You hit on one of them, turns out to be decent or good. Yeah, Tom Brady. Yeah, okay, Tom Brady, that's one. Okay, don't give me Merton Hanks either. Wait, do you know who Merton Hanks is? Okay, but so yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So it's stuff like that. Most of those guys, yeah, they have okay careers, but they don't flip, your team and, put you over the top. So I don't care about 4, 6th round picks. So what? So I would really hate that.
Oh, you get a bell for that. That's a terrible take. This is when I know you don't understand the value
if you
can NFL contracts
who might have projected into the 3rd and the 5th round, you stole him. But if he's just an average player for your team, so what? I mean,
I just want to pick in the middle at the top of the first round because that's where all the studs are. Man, I'm just going to bring a 20-page list one day of all the good players.
Can I bring a 100-page list of all the crappy players from the 4th round down then? You got 20. I got 100.
Yeah, and can we compare the cost of what it costs to get a stud there versus all the washouts? Who cares? It's like if you lose a quarter in the wash, nobody cares. But hey, if you find a $100 bill, that's great.
For maybe losing a quarter in the wash? Is that what you're comparing that to?
No, Grifka. I'm saying a trade down and getting all these lottery tickets where you get to maybe throw a dart at the wall to find $100 in your pocket. Lose a quarter, nobody cares because these guys make no money in the later rounds. It's a incredible value to get draft picks in the NFL. Now you can't have 15 picks in a draft because you don't have enough room for those guys on the roster, but 2 or 3 trade downs, picking up 3rds, 4ths, 5ths, yes, that's very valuable. More lottery tickets, the better. Not, I need to take people in the first round because that's where the guys I know are. That's where the college, name players are. No, that's not how it works.
Well,
okay.
Like you said,
right.
If you're trading out of the first round, like we said, like we mentioned Dallas. Dallas got a stud offensive wide receiver who was a first round pick. Yeah. But if you're going to continually trade down just on mass, 3rd day picks, congratulations. I mean, like I said, yeah, you got a whole bunch of guys on your team. You might hit on one, but chances are you'll have a bunch of you'll just have guys. Okay. So whatever. But they'll be cheap. They'll be cheap though. So okay.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, okay, so your worst
That's
is
it,
probably
dude.
my
That's it.
dream
Draft picks.
scenario.
Detroit
A bunch
Lions
of trade
fans crap.
backs.
It's like the more draft picks you got, oh god, we're gonna be awesome. Yeah, okay.
Okay, get to your
dream scenario would be like
and
one
get
of those
to
guys
your
that you
what
mentioned
you think will
falling,
happen.
like Williams or Allen. I could still see. I could see Ed Oliver there. Rashawn Gary, Montez Sweat, Burns, all those guys. I could see that. If they were to get, but the dream scenario would be like Allen, Williams falling to the Lions at 8. One of those guys on the team would definitely improve that defense. The defense has already improved with who they've signed, but getting one of those guys. Just a pass rush, would be amazing with one of those guys. So that would be something, of a dream to me. One of those guys that you expect to go in, the top 3 or 4, falling to you at 8.
What do you think will happen?
Gosh, I don't know if I feel they really want to trade down, but I don't know if they're going to be asking too much, and I don't think they're just going to give the pick away. I think they end up probably getting a defensive line, like a defensive tackle, defensive end, who's ever the best defender who's sitting there at that point. I think is what they'll do.
Who? We know all the names. We know who's going to be there. Who, Grifka? You can't just say a defensive player.
Who? If Ed Oliver falls to them, I could see them taking him.
Okay. So you realistically think that'll happen?
We've seen plenty of mock drafts where he goes early, and we've actually, I know I've seen a few where he actually goes in the teens, and I think I just saw one the other day where he's actually in the high 20s, and I'm just like, huh? So, but yeah, he'll be there.
Okay. You might want to check the date posted on Lions 24/7 because last time I checked, there's rumblings of him going 3 to the Jets. So I don't know what your birdies are telling
you. Many
you.
mock drafts as I do, and you swear some of them are just just for talking points when you see stuff like that. So
yeah. All right. Well, I'll be real quick with it. My dream scenario is Josh Allen falling to 8. Love to scoop him up. I love his play. I love his character. I love everything about the guy. If Quentin Williams fell, I don't think you can pass, but I still have a hard time fitting him perfectly into what we already have. He would just be another blue chip, big body in there, which you can't have too many of those. So either of those guys kind of dream scenario. What I think will happen is Brian Burns will be the best player on the board, and assuming that the Lions like him, probably would be the best impact pass rusher guy. Is versatile, they can move around. With all the different mocks and things I've done, either be that or the tight end, I would think, if they're stuck at 8. Again, best case scenario, multiple trade downs, picks, cheap players, Grifka, and lots of lottery tickets. And then my nightmare would probably be just sitting at 8. I'd probably just be sitting at 8 and taking either Rashawn Gary or Jonah Williams. I kind of like Jonah Williams. I think he's like the Lions type of lineman, but I don't think he's that special, and I don't want to spend like a top 15 pick if I can get him in the 20s. And if that's really where they want to build to protect the quarterback, I guess. But if they could just called his name at 8, I would shake my head just because he's changing positions. He's, like I said, he didn't do anything good at the combine. He's a good meat and potatoes football player.
So
but
you would feel the same way, though?
That's kind of my worst case. That's how I'd lay it out.
You said that would be kind of like, I don't want to say your worst case scenario, but kind of ho-hum. You'd be very ho-hum if that Rashawn Gary, they took him.
I wouldn't really be ho-hum anymore. I'm much more on the, I'd be annoyed and mad because he's got the shoulder issue. I don't like his personality, football character. I think he's kind of a wimp, kind of a, mama's boy, kind of a guy that, yeah, he's talented, but can't really, cut it at the NFL level. He's got all this stupid stuff going on off the field. There's just too many both red flags and just things that have been popping up that he's pretty much off my radar now, in even regards to talent. So, maybe in like a two trade backs and they were in the late 20s and he was still there and they were like, hey, we're still getting this supreme talent way down here after accumulating picks. Like maybe, but that's like me talking myself into it at that point. So, those are my two. Hope they don't happen. And I don't know. the quarterback, I hope doesn't happen for lots of like just team building reasons. But if it did, there'd be a little something in me that says, hey, you know, we need a guy that can win playoff games and can lead the team, you know, all those type of things. And until Matt Stafford does those, like, yeah, I sort of always am looking out of the corner of my eye of who could maybe be that next guy, especially 10 years in, as we've talked about. So anyway, you got multiple scenarios from me there, but stay tuned because you got to hear these Detroit Koolaid Cast listener line calls. Again, what I did this because we got a bunch of them. I tried to pick out a few that were good. We got some that are calling out Grifka, some people using our catchphrases, some people just talking football. And please stay tuned for the final call. I mean, it's a shut it down, drop the mic type of call. You got to listen to it. And Grifka, we were talking before the show that with it being draft starting up tomorrow evening, we're going to do all we can here at the Detroit Koolaid Cast to hit you guys up with as many podcasts as we can do. So expect something from us the night after round 1, the night after round 2, and 3, the night after the third day. And then I hope to maybe even come to you Sunday, either solo or with a guest, where we can kind of recap everything. And who knows? If they nail it, maybe I'll even do a Monday bonus show too. So I'm going to do a ton of stuff, Grifka. It's going to be loaded up with football. So everybody hit that subscribe button, share this with a friend. I know I speak for Grifka when we just keep growing the show. We love it. You know, again, everybody out there knows I'm the workhorse of the show, putting in the work. Grifka shows up twice a week, turns on the red light, and says his catchphrases when I hit the bell. But we try to have fun with this thing. We try to get this content out to you. We love talking Lions. It's just been a blast this whole last year. I mean, just started this around draft time last year. So it's been a crazy ride. We want to keep growing this thing and keep having a ton of fun doing it. So for me, for Grifka, for the Detroit Koolaid Cast, we're going to go ahead and get up out of here. We're going to check you guys tomorrow evening after round 1 of the 2019 NFL Draft. Take care, everybody. We'll see you then.
What up, DKC podcast and all the listeners out there? This is friend of the show, Big Hughes, calling in on this happy NFL Draft Eve. We are less than, I don't know, you don't do math very well, 20-some hours away from the NFL Draft kicking off in Nashville, Tennessee. Calling in with my predictions for tomorrow night. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you 3 scenarios. I'm going to go with my dream scenario, my realistic scenario, and sure as hell hope not scenario. So number 1, my dream scenario is that Mr. Josh Allen falls to number 8, and we will scoop him up running the card to the podium. My realistic option is I'm thinking that it's going to be Brian Burns, which I would be very, very happy with. And the option that I do absolutely not want is an offensive lineman at number 8. If we trade back and go offensive lineman, maybe. Not at 8. No way. Jose, not going to happen. Anyway, that's my predictions for the first round. Hope everybody enjoys the draft. Go Lions.
Hey, this is Frank calling in. Hey, Grifka, how's it going today? I got a pick, but you're not going to like it. I'm calling in from Burton here in my Twitter bunker. I got a hint for you. Pancakes. Does that make you think of anyone? With the number 8 pick in the draft, the Lions pick tight end TJ Hawkinson. Why a tight end? A tight end is a modern weapon, and TJ Hawkinson is one of the most complete tight ends entering the draft in years. His route running skills are very advanced. His hands are soft. He has a huge catch radius, a great football IQ. One of the things fans hated about Eric Ebron is he never finished a play. He dropped too many balls, didn't block. Well, with TJ Hawkinson, you have a complete tight end. He not only finishes his blocks, he puts people on the ground. Kyle Krabs from the Draft Network says this is the kind of prospects teams want to clone. Patricia and Quinn are always talking about hard, tough guys that are smart. TJ Hawkinson really fits the bill there. So basically, TJ Hawkinson, he'll do everything you need as a tight end from day one. It's just a simple pick. Going defense would be a good option, but the way Stafford struggled last year, I think they really need to go with an offensive weapon to get Stafford back to his game. Stafford loves to throw the tight end, and it will be a great pick. Drink it in.
Detroit Koolaid Cast. Thank you for having me, John Macaroon, Detroit Sports Podcast. I know everybody's excited about listening to this podcast. We all are excited about Thursday night. Who are the Lions going to draft in the first round? Everybody wants to know. We're all excited here because this 2019 season is going to be epic. It's very, very important that the Lions don't mess up this pick. I love the fact that everyone's debating who are they going to take. Are they going to take an offensive lineman? Are they going to take a linebacker? Are they going to take the tight end? Look, I do have faith in the way that Bob Quinn is drafting. I know that it's super tough to draft, and it's super tough to rely on, these young athletes out of college and to project what they're going to actually do. But Bob Quinn has a knack for finding, at least in the first round, individuals that can at least contribute. Are they going to turn out to eventually be stars and contributors on a Super Bowl team? Yet to be determined. The one pick that would piss the doc off, that would piss me off royally, is if the Detroit Lions go out and select the tight end. They cannot select a tight end in the first round. Not needed. Look, I understand the tight end is an important position for certain offenses. It's a safety valve for Matthew Stafford. But I would rather select an offensive lineman and solidify the running game. Solidify a weapon, in terms of Kerryon Johnson and C.J. Anderson. Utilize what you have in the offensive game. Do not utilize the tight end. Do not draft a tight end in the first round. You can get a tight end, but find somebody that can be productive in the later rounds. You have a defensive-minded coach. Go out there and get an impactful linebacker. Go out there and address help in the secondary. You don't need a tight end. And so reading all the mock drafts with, T.J. Hawkinson being the name was super frustrating. I got a good feeling that Thursday night, when we all see who's picked, probably is going to be a trade involving the Lions. I do think that I do believe the fans of Detroit are going to be happy. I think that Bob Quinn will go out there and solidify some needs for the Detroit Lions so that they can at least have an opportunity for 8, 9, or 10 wins next year. I think it's supremely important for Bob Quinn. Super important. I hope that when it's all said and done, the 9 picks or more that are made by the Detroit Lions can at least, half of them, 5 or 6, can come on, to the field in 2019 and help this team out. I hope the Detroit Lions bring us some good memories this year. Thanks again. You can hear me every single Thursday, the Doc and Jock Podcast, Detroit Sports Podcast. I look forward to calling up this listener line, blowing it up again. Hopefully you guys agree with me, and I just hope, please, don't draft the tight end in the first round. See y'all later.
Oh, I was just saying who I think the Lions should draft, and if I'm being honest, I think they should take Josh Allen, honestly. But if we're being realistic here, then I don't think Josh Allen's going to be there. So I think it'd be anyone between Montez Sweat, Rashawn Gary, or Ed Oliver.
Detroit Koolaid Cast, this is Paul from Tampa, your number one fan. I'm listening to all these podcasts, and I'm hearing you guys go on and on about this guy or that guy. Grifka watches the games, and Oakley gets it deep into all the tape and everything, and you guys have your stuff, but after listening to all this, I kind of broke down the 4 scenarios, and I'm kind of worried about these 4 scenarios. So I want to lay these down with you guys, and I want to hear what you guys think about it. So essentially, there's four ways this can go. The first would be to draft an impact defensive lineman, one of 6 or 7, which is obviously an important position, but I don't see how they're any better than our top 4. At least day one. I mean, you got Snacks, you got Flowers, you got Ashawn, and you got Hand. And, if you get a great player, I mean, how much better are they going to be than these 4 guys? I mean, sure, they might be a little bit better, but day one they might not. So it seems to me you're getting a guy who, essentially is going to be rotational. And all 4 of these guys are pretty durable, so it's not like they have big injuries histories. So that's the first thing that can happen. The second thing is you can draft a linebacker at 8, of course, probably one of the Devons, but then you're taking playing time away from Kennard and Davis, and let's be honest, linebacker ain't important as much as a defensive lineman. It's probably the least important position outside of maybe safety on the defense. The third idea is you draft an impact player, probably at guard or at tight end, but let's be honest, neither of those
be an impact player all you want. I mean, those are two unimportant positions. And, Larry Allen and Tony Gonzalez ain't walking through that door. Okay? If so, they'd be top 3 picks. All right? So, the fourth thing, which is the obvious, would be the trade down. Well, I'm worried Lions are so desperate for trading down, they're not going to get any compensation, at least anything good, for those picks. And, maybe they'll get a 3rd or 4th round or something, and they end up, drafting the next Tease Tabor, or, pull a Mayhew in 2015 and trade 5 spots to Denver and get Manny Ramirez, which would be great if it was, the 90s and the Tigers were on the clock, but, Manny Ramirez was all right, as Grifka would put it, but, I'm worried about that stuff. So, anyways, I trust BQ. He's had good drafts and everything, but there's something about this that it seems like there's more pressure this year because of the top 10. And, I need you guys to talk me down, and, hopefully I'm not crazy, but if I am, you got to let me know, and, hopefully I hear that bell.
Well, hey there, this is old Conrad calling from Huntsville, Alabama. I just want to say that I'm a huge fan of the show, #Team Grifka for life, but I just wanted to call in and give my prediction for the first round of the draft on Thursday for my Detroit Lions. Now, like I said, I'm down here in Alabama, so I like them old Crimson Tide. So right now I'm going to say with the number 8 pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Quinn Williams from Alabama. Roll Tide, baby.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.